Hi, my name is Ren, and this is Grunge Granny, and this channel is dedicated to making things, making progress, and hopefully making conversation sometime in the future. If anybody ever feels like talking about anything that I've posted, I just love engaging in a good dialogue. In this video, I'm going to flip through a book that I made out of my mother's paperwork. For some context, I was adopted by my grandmother, and I was raised by my grandmother, so whenever I say my mom, that's who I'm referring to. I do have a relationship with my birth mother. My birth mother and I were raised by the same woman, so I think that it makes for a really interesting relationship because it means that with my mama's death, that she and I can talk about it and kind of bond over the ways we were raised and the ways that we feel our grief for her, but also like trying to cope with childhood trauma that some of it she caused and some of it she allowed, and how after someone's death it can be tough because it feels almost like there's no closure. And I think that might just be, I wouldn't know because she's not alive, but I think that might be a thing that most people feel when it comes to childhood trauma with their parents. But for me, it feels really strange that she's dead, and knowing that there won't be the opportunity for a conversation about it, and I won't have a response from her about it or know really ever what she thinks or anything like that. And I am thankful that I have my birth mother to talk about that with, because at least it doesn't feel so alone. Even if at times she wasn't the best, I do have really fond memories of my mom, and I love her very much. I miss her very much. It has been now a decade since she died. One thing that I say all the time whenever I'm talking to anybody else that's going through grief, it's just that it's always sad. There's not really ever a time that it's suddenly not sad. It's just not sad as often, maybe. I think the only difference is that it's easier to go through life without constantly thinking about it, but it is sad. Before I decided to really crack down and dedicate my time to my online shop and my creative pursuits and this channel, I needed to go through my house and declutter, and I say that and you can see all the craziness that's around me, but that's for ADHD reasons. I need everything to be visible so that I know where everything is. But I wanted to go through and kind of purge things that I was realizing that I was holding on to that were representative of a past identity, or things that I was holding on to that were hiding away, things that were maybe things that I wasn't ready to face or look at, and so I had them hidden in closets and under the bed so that I wouldn't have to look at them. And as I said, my mother did die 10 years ago, and while I was decluttering, I found a briefcase of paperwork that I had never gone through. And I found some things in there, some from my childhood and some from her other kids' childhood and some from her childhood, which was really cool. And I decided to make a book out of it. That's this book right here. Go ahead and put away, my notes for a little bit. It's this right here. I'm going to be flipping through and showing more details about it. And this is the spine. And so this video is going to be a flip through, and I'm going to talk about what all I've been doing for this book and how I put it together. So I think I've said this before, but making things has always been one of my coping mechanisms, even since I was a kid. And I feel like it gives me not only a sense of control, but the opportunity to redo a thing or have visible progress on a thing, which really helps me. And even if I don't like how something turned out, I like that there's the opportunity to go and cover it with paint or material or change it into something else. And that, to me, I think feels really metaphorical, where there can be things that I've done or situations I've been in that I didn't like the outcome of, and I could allow that to put me into this crippling fear of ever being in that situation again, or I could see it like an art piece and decide, okay, but the next time I attempt that thing, here's what I learned from it the last time, and here's how I want to try it this time. And I think that habit of perfectionism that I used to have really badly. And nowadays I'm more of a, well, for a while I was a done is better than perfect person. And now I'm more of a some is better than perfect person. And I'm usually just aiming for, recently listened to Atomic Habits, so I'm usually just aiming for 1% better every day. And if I feel like I've done at least 1% better on something, then I'm pretty glad. I'm content. I feel like, yes, cumulatively, this will be way better than no percent better every day. But if that sounds like your jam, and talking about making things and what you learn about in the process and what you learn about yourself in the process, then please subscribe, turn on notifications, like, leave a comment, do all those things. Yeah, let's get to it. I'm attempting to have the same quality. I'm trying a different way of recording with a different camera. Let's hope this works. So, first thing is I made, well, the very first thing was that I found all this paperwork, but I don't want to go through the book yet because all the paperwork has been taken out and put into the book, and so I don't want to just like show everything off yet. But here we have the cover. I used a pamphlet stitch for these signatures. There are 5 signatures. I just grabbed a bunch of scrap material and I glued it on with some gel matte medium, and then I covered it in gesso, and then I covered that in some coffee and distress ink. On the inside I was really stoked because I have a lot of her little papers, and then I just put stickers or any other kind of paper that kind of matched, including over here just some of her old papers and notes and tags and things that she had. My favorite part though is this, where I used a negative and pulled it through in a little window so that I could see these pictures of my mama, and I still think it's the coolest thing. And how I did that was I cut out the window from the cover. I had the back of a sticker that I glued down just on the sides, and I added material over here because the plastic kept detaching, and then I added these little toothpicks on either side so that it would catch it and keep it from going all the way through. And I love it. I kind of want to do this on a lot of other pages. I think another way to do this would probably be using just an envelope and that has its own window. Like anytime you get those, well, anytime you get bills or junk mail, you end up with those envelopes, those little plastic windows already in them. I think it'd be pretty cool to go ahead and use them as a way to put in negatives, photo negatives. And I like that it doesn't seem super obvious on the cover, but that when you open it and you have it up to the light, there it is. Just a picture. I think that's so cool. So I started it out by just kind of filling in with other pages, but then I put in things that she had, and then I put in my own associations with those things. So she had a lot of different saint and church books, and some of them, this one is from, which looks like it was the church program for a Christmas service at a church. And I turned that into a pocket that had several spots so I can put in some little notes. Anything that had relatively blank pages I kept because I would like to have those spots for myself to write in. Things, oh, and then there were some things where like, I don't know, I just thought anything with her handwriting I just wanted to keep. So for this page it had her name, but I wanted to collage over some of it that I didn't think needed to be all that visible. I just wanted to keep her signature intact here, but I wanted to have the opportunity to use this page for other things. So I did some little clusters all around so that I could have that for that. On this one I just stuck a little label, but then I have a little pocket so that I can put some more things in there. I'm still figuring out what to do on some of these pages, but I wanted to go ahead and make this video because I kept waiting for me to be done with this book, which I noticed was making me feel pressured to be done with this book, and I want this to be something that I take my time with and put a lot of my feelings about our relationship into it. So it's definitely not a thing to rush. I also found oh yeah, another thing with her handwriting on it. A card she had received. I put this little picture in here that I had done a long time ago that I found in my own notes that I thought would be neat to put in. I turned this into several pockets so I could put her little Pope card, and I think, yeah, it's St. Francis. And this was another in loving memory of her family member. I think it was my great uncle. And then there's the other side of that card. This one I had put this pocket that had 2 spots in it. That had another little bit with her handwriting, or had her name on it. And then this card, which I wasn't really sure. I just thought it was neat looking, so I wanted it to go in here. This little pocket has a flap right there. Some more that I'm still working on collaging. I got way into weaving paper, and I have all these scraps and didn't know what to do, so I just made a little basket, and I'll figure out what to put in there. Also same, I had made these little tags and spots already. And I wanted to give myself spots for little bits of writing, not tons of writing, so that I don't feel like everything has to have a lot on it, if that makes sense. I don't want to feel pressured to put too many thoughts and feelings. This is another little pocket, and I've just been keeping my needle there. Keep forgetting that it's there. A label, and I made this little pocket that has 2 spots. I made it for a reason, but the thing that I made it for actually didn't fit. So I'm gonna make some things to put in here, and I will definitely be updating whenever that happens. A little writing spot with a pocket, and then I have St. Jude. And then over here, I put the opening cards of the tarot deck that she bought me when I was 12. Because they were illustrated by Pamela Coleman Smith, who's actually really friggin' cool, and I've learned a lot about her since then. So I put those in there. More just little decoration. I'm gonna put a paper pad in here because I want spots for more writing, and I'm going to put that here. I got really upset because I wish I would have made this spot into a belly band, but I didn't. So note to self that I'll probably do that on another page. Some legal paperwork. This was her baptism certificate, and I stuck it like that so that it made a little pocket, but also so it would still be able to be read. I kept the things with her name and her dates visible. A little seed packet. This one is a pocket, a little side pocket. Another little collage spot, just a spot with some notes. Also, my mom loved roses, so thought it felt appropriate. An affidavit. And here we go. This is her baptismal certificate. This paperwork that I found, the paper just looked really pretty, but I'm not going to leave it up too long because I'm not entirely sure what it says, even though it's from like the 70s, so I doubt it really matters. I found this in a book that just said sorrowfully, arm in arm, because I was feeling a lot of feelings. An envelope that was addressed to her forever ago. I say forever ago. 1990, that's not forever ago. I guess it's 30 years ago. So who knows about those addresses. I just love things with her handwriting. So I put these on some little tabs. I just wanted them to be showcased more. What I did is I cut different strips of cardstock and I painted it with coffee, and then I cut up this sheet of paper that was all together at one time so that it wasn't just like a sheet of paper. And it could be like each one's got little special things with her handwriting. And then I made this. It has 1, and then 2, and then 3 little pockets so that I could give them all their own spot. And this one goes back here, and this one goes in here. And then since the pocket itself is its own little tuck, I was able to put a little piece of coffee dyed paper so that I could write about it if I feel like. Another little bit what I'm still working on. I'm going to add some more things there. Another paper. I like this because this is all about the story of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So I have that in there. Paper. There's some really long papers in here, and I thought about some ways to mix them up. This is an envelope she had, but I really loved the little stamps that were on them, so I just thought they were cool. Plus, I like this window, and I'm debating what to do with this window too. I might go ahead and make another little negative spot, and if I do, I guess I could record that so that I could show how that's done. This is a postcard my mom got, and what I did is I taped it to another piece of paper, I think another postcard. Where did I tape that to? So that I could sew it in like its own signature. Yeah, I taped it to this, and then I taped these two cards that had your handwriting on them to each other so that that could be sewn as its own signature. Here, got some scriptures listed, a card that my mom got. I put some pockets in there, put that there. I added a little pocket here. There's her name. This one I turned into a pocket because, first off, it's not super legible, and I kept flipping this way anyway, and so I thought, yeah, I'm just gonna make it where I can put something in here, because that would be handy, I suppose. I should have had it face the other way, but if I did that, then it would cover up all the text on it, so I didn't want to do that. There's another type of legal paperwork, but I just really like the embossing on these. This is from 1983. Again, I know it's not like super old. It's weird to me actually when people think of it as vintage, but it does have already some aging to it, which I think is neat. And I think that if I go ahead and put it in a book now, that it would look really cool later. Like when I give my daughter it later, if she ever wanted it. Not that she would, but I don't know. This is more for my coping, not gonna project it onto her. I made a little envelope here. Pop. I just glued the front of one piece to this piece, and I used my corner rounder to give it a little flap. Another paper, and then we reach the end. And the other day I found a bunch of my own kind of silly or funny little things, and I'm going to be putting those in here. I want to make more ephemera for it out of these things. I think that will be a challenge, and that will be kind of fun. Will be to find ways I can turn like a social security card into a tag, because she's dead and doesn't need it anymore. And not in a dark way, but like, how can I preserve this in a way that can be a part of this book without, while also being able to like cancel it out. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I don't want someone to try and ever use it or steal her identity, or I don't even know if that's possible. I'm just thinking of that J-Lo movie called Enough, where she had found the social security number of somebody who had passed away. Anyway, I'm just excited to be able to show updates about it and give this idea, because putting this paperwork all together into a book with spots to write in it and kind of finding ways to memorialize things that were my mother's and things that I find special about her, especially things like her handwriting, because to me those things were just so iconic. She was always on me about my handwriting, and now it's why I do calligraphy. I don't feel particularly happy with the cover, but I'm still brainstorming what to do there for that. I think that I can peel a lot of this off, honestly, and then reattach a different kind of material or something. But I don't want to do it yet until I know for sure what I want to do for a cover, because I collaged all of these things down. I can't pull those things off, so I'm gonna have to use this cover like what's underneath the material. I've also thought about just painting over all of it, which might be fun. I might do that actually. I know I already did some diluted gesso, but I might go ahead and just officially gesso it and then add some actual paint to it and paint on the cover. We will see. If you are grieving the loss of a loved one, I hope that this maybe gives you some ideas about how you can kind of craftily cope with that grief and give your space a spot to specifically, journal about your feelings while moving through that. I'm excited to show what it's going to look like, because in my head I have all these ideas and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what it'll be like in the end. All right, thank you for watching. Bye.